years ago, I found myself in the emergency room. I thought that I was absolutely about to have a heart attack.
I was like opening doors for interviews because now Amy was like one of the first magazines to be read in the country when we started. And we can journey through this together because no one arrives. We just come to a place of mastery, and then there's always something else in our life that we're working on, and so we don't.
So, Queen, you have the power. You have the power to decide that you want to live a different life. Welcome back to another episode of Empowering Queens TV. I'm your show's host, Deangelo D Belle, and I'm here with our co-host, Raquel L. Clarke, and our special guest, Shay King. Ladies, welcome to this conversation.
Thank you.
So, Raquel, would you tell our viewing audience a bit about who you are, what you do?
Sure. Hi, everyone. Good to see you again, and so excited to be on our third. Okay. I'm Raquel Clarke. I'm a coach, a business and executive coach first, and a life coach second, and also a budding blogger and photographer. I help people find their more, MORE. It's my favorite word in the dictionary. And I just believe that life is so full of possibility and we just tap into a little bit of it. So I'm here to help people find their more.
And I just love what you do. I love the passion that you put behind everything that you do. As I watch your growth through your hobby of photography,
Yes.
I just see it just growing and blooding and blooming, and I see how it's developing. And I love that trait about you, Raquel, that when you put your heart into something, you give it your all. So you're not only a coach in word, but you're a coach in demonstration and in action of the concepts that you teach.
Absolutely.
So thank you for being here tonight.
Thank you.
And Coach Shay, can you tell us a bit about who you are, what you do?
Yes, well, I am nutritionist and coach Shay King, and as a result of coaching my clients get to not only transform their physical look, but also the mindset of how they think about food and how they see food, and additionally, they gain the practical skills to be able to maintain what it is that they have to do in terms of their goals.
Man, that's so powerful. That's really so powerful, and I know from firsthand knowledge just how you put everything into coaching your clients and into transforming their mindsets, because you teach the concept of why we need to reframe our thoughts on food.
Yeah.
So if you watched our earlier episode, you would have seen Coach Shay and I dialogue a bit about health and what live food and dead food looks like, and you would have been able to see us transition through that conversation and bring it to the point where we spoke about how food actually impacts our health, and we end up with diseases like diabetes and high blood pressure, high cholesterol levels, which seems to be the next in thing. But there is a direct relationship between what we eat and how we feel. And so, Coach Raquel, watching you blog, you talked about being a blogger. I see where you've been blogging about becoming healthier. And I noticed a couple of things that you blogged about. You blogged about skin and how you take care of your skin and the products that you use in your body.
Absolutely.
And then I've also seen you blog about the natural treatments that you use for arthritis, because sometimes you kind of freeze up.
Absolutely.
Can you tell us about those journeys?
It's interesting because I think one of the most important things we need to learn is how to take care of ourselves, right? Because how else do you enjoy your purpose?
Yes.
You got to take care of the vessel. And so for me, I've had, I think, maybe a 10-year journey with health, with coming into a consciousness and awareness of all the ways that it's necessary to take care of yourself. And so for me, discovering what my challenges are, what health challenges, and how many of the things that we are afflicted with are passed down, right? So we have a genetic predisposition. And so for me, it was diabetes. I found myself at 40 pre-diabetic. And we also have arthritis in my family. And so I find myself struggling with arthritis. So those are things that I had to learn to manage and live with. So I've been able to cancel out the diabetes trajectory altogether through
Right.
smart eating choices. But the arthritis is a bit more difficult to manage, and it is a long-term chronic illness.
Okay.
Not that you can't arrest it, but it takes a while. So for me, it's learning to be on an anti-inflammatory diet and just to not eat things that aggravate me, because the pain that follows is not pretty. So learning that every food option has a consequence, and if I want to feel good, then I have to make the right choices each day.
Wow, that's so
Yeah.
powerful.
Mhm.
Wow. So have you been journaling this in terms of when you eat a particular thing, how it translates to what you feel later?
You know, I study health. I mean, I might as well be a health coach at this point. I'm not quite ready yet, but I love studying. So I don't journal, but I've become so attuned to my body that I can tell the difference immediately. And when you suffer from arthritis, you can almost feel sometimes certain foods give you an immediate reaction. So certain things would give me pains in my hands, which is
Okay.
where I feel arthritis most, and in my feet. And so I've learned to pay attention. So I know now dairy is bad. Too much coffee is bad, saturated fats,
Hmm.
bad, so some certain citrus things bad. So I've learned over time, and as I eat foods that give me a reaction, I've learned to say no, because
Okay.
my body tells me what
Wow.
it likes and what it doesn't
Wow.
like.
And what I like about that
Mhm.
is that what you have clearly demonstrated is it's a personal journey for each person. It's
Absolutely.
like it's not cookie cutter.
Hmm.
So what triggers you may do nothing to me.
Absolutely.
And so we have to get to know what our triggers are.
Hmm.
We have to get to know what our
Listen to the
bodies,
body.
right, just
Hmm.
kind of listen to our bodies.
Yeah.
Now, the thing is, Coach Shay, because we've been eating a particular way for so long, our senses may be off.
Hmm.
Like we may be feeling a symptom that's related to something that we ate, but we're not connecting it.
Absolutely.
What are some of the ways we can make that connection?
Well, one of the first things I would speak to my clients with when I'm coaching them is to start to reframe your words. I sometimes people may look at it as a simple thing, but I look at it as a big thing, because the beginning part of this eating emotionally well and transforming the whole idea behind eating well is reframing our words and how we see ourselves. So I get my clients into the idea of when they talk about a diagnosis, talk about what you are experiencing in terms of the symptoms, but not necessarily identifying with having the disease.
Absolutely.
That's the first thing for me. Even when we talk about being pre-exposed, when we talk about the genetic aspect, I'm a little on the fence with that. And the reason for that for me is because I've seen our bodies transform and heal itself. What I know about genetics is usually in most cases we're eating like our parents. We are exposed to the
Absolutely.
same type of food and environments. And so when you talk about genetics, a lot of the profile has to do with eating what our parents eat. And the fact of the matter is, the food has changed. The
Yes.
landscape of, I grew up in Andros. I know what it is to see a chicken go from egg to a full-blown chicken, and that process takes about 16 weeks.
And tastes
Wow.
like chicken.
Yes, and tastes like
Wow.
chicken, right? But today, that has all changed. And so for me, a big part of getting my clients to begin the transformation of healing and connecting the bridge with the mindset to what it is that they eat, it starts with the I am affirmations and just understanding that you will experience some of the symptoms for diabetic, but you're not diabetic.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Also, it's in reframing your mind and your
Yes.
thoughts, because is it like an acceptance of a thing?
Absolutely. Let me tell you, I've had many experiences from personally and from the clients that I've been coaching. And I remember this one particular client I was coaching. She said, "Shay, I don't believe it." And I said to her, "It's not about believing it. It's about saying it until it becomes your reality."
Okay.
And so it's a reconditioning.
Mindfulness.
Yeah, it's a reconditioning of it, and that's really the beginning. Because again, you can depend on willpower when it comes to changing your mind, because the very things that will give you the pain from eating it, you just dive right into it. The willpower is not enough, and so it's the combination of reframing how you see the food and also changing the taste buds.
Wow. Awesome. Amazing. I mean, just amazing. As I started on this journey, one of the things that I realized as I immediately started to make some changes was I could tell when my blood sugar spiked,
Mm-hmm.
without having to test it.
Yes.
I started to see the changes. Like there'll be times when I'd grapple with words, like I know what I want to say, but the processing has slowed down.
Yes.
Or I'd be so lethargic and just so tired all of the time, just wanting to rest and to sleep. And the remedy for that was to jump on the treadmill.
Right.
And so once I worked out for 20 minutes just walking on the treadmill, sleep was gone, right? Because I've kind of stabilized what those numbers were at that particular point in time. So the body does give us indication of when something is going awry, right? But when we talk about health, it's not just about what we put in. Because when we want to be whole and healed, there are other components of health. And one of those components, because we started to talk about emotional health, and then there's also the mental health. And a lot of times people just focus on the physical health, but we need them all to kind of work together. Because I used to be an emotional eater. Trust you me, something go wrong, I am at the refrigerator, right? And so it means that my emotional health was not well. So how do I get my physical health, my emotional wealth, my spiritual wealth, and my mental wealth or health to kind of align? What are some of the things that you do, Coach Raquel?
For me, I do look at it very holistically, and I realize that there's, like you say, it's a complete picture when you look at health. And so starting with the mind is the most important thing. The belief that you are well, the belief that you can be well, the belief that you can optimize your health. It really took me a while to get there, but I believe that now.
Great.
I used to have a lot of fears and concerns about my health, and from time to time they still creep in because each year life throws you a new challenge.
Yes.
However, the fundamental belief that if I make the right choices, I can be well, I believe that.
Yes.
All right. So outside of that, then it becomes the practices.
Yes.
And you got to do the work.
Yes.
And so a lot of times we want the benefits of good health, but we don't want to exercise the discipline. And it does take discipline.
Yes.
So for me, it's creating rituals that make you feel good, that make you feel whole. And I'm big into rituals now. How I wake up, what I do first thing, my supplements, my cup of coffee, my water. I now practice intermittent fasting, and so I go for 16 hours between last meal and first meal. And so sometimes I'm watching the clock, but other times I'm like, oh, I'm sailing through this. I'm doing so good. But knowing that exercise is a must.
Yes.
And learning to love it, right? Because there used to be a time when you think that exercise is a chore, but now I absolutely look forward to the morning walk. I call it my photo walk because I take photos on the way, but also socializing and understanding that you have to have a holistic and healthy social life, because that also supports your confidence, the feeling of well-being and security.
Yes.
So you have to look at it, and you have to practice in so many different realms to be healthy.
Awesome advice. So how do we go from this, I call it a tradition that we have of eating bad until we're 30. And then when we hit a particular age, we want to now get healthy, right? But what we do from small to 30 has conditioned us. And that's what makes that discipline so hard, because now we're so used for years and years of eating on the go and, having that high carbohydrate content breakfast or having rice and macaroni. So it's harder. What are some of the things you think or you would suggest for even younger people to implement now to start their journey of becoming healthier?
You know what? It's funny. I actually think that it's easier now for the younger generation because they are exposed to so much of the World Wide Web and they see a lot more. While when we were growing up, we didn't have that exposure. What I find now is maybe the young adult is not as disciplined as we are as we get older. Experiences teach us in order to look and feel good, we have to be a lot more disciplined. But I think a lot of it is the mindset still of the young adult feeling like they have more time.
They do.
I think that's what it is.
Absolutely.
I think they know it, but they're thinking they just have more time. And so even when I go out and have my morning walk, if I'm doing grounding or meditation, I find that the majority of people out there, these are women and men in their 40s.
Yes.
You rarely see the younger generation. But I think if they actually start to think a little bit more of starting earlier, if you will, I think you'll start to see a little shift in that as well. Plus, additionally, they also have the foresight now to see that people are dying a whole lot younger
Yes,
than
they
it used to
are.
be. So the
Yeah.
thing is, time is not always
Yes, that's
on
so
their
true.
side.
That's
Yeah.
so true.
Is
Well, I
it
want you
me
to
or
know.
do I think that most of the Bahamian girls believe in being thick anyway? Like, is thick in?
Listen,
I
is
don't
that
know.
a
It could
conversation?
be.
Is it the men or the girls?
It's the girls as
The girl.
well. The younger
Yeah.
generation, they look like
Wow.
they into being thick.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Interesting.
Amazing. But you know what? It's been said that life begins at 40. It's changed
Listen.
now to 50.
I know, right?
And so depending on where you are, life begins
Yes.
as you get older. And so with age comes some complications. Like we
Mm-hmm.
start to get challenges with our knees,
Mm-hmm.
challenges with doing ordinary stuff, just
Mm-hmm.
getting up and going in the morning. And I know that when I hit 40, I started to have challenges with my menstrual cycle.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I was a teenager, I had horrible menstrual cycles. I used to have to go to the doctor at the beginning of every cycle to get a shot
Mm.
in my vein
Wow.
because it would get into my body quicker to give me relief.
Hmm.
And when I had my daughter, that pain went away.
Mm-hmm.
But it came back at 40. And what I came to find out was that I had fibroids. And the fibroids were just horrible.
Mm.
And so I think about 2 years ago when I did my last scan, or maybe been a year and a half ago, I came into the knowledge that my fibroid is a 4-month fetus.
Hmm.
So now, or prior to the end of last year, I've been having horrible menstrual cycles. I mean, I could feel that coming 2 weeks out. I would have the back pains, the headaches, my stomach would swell, and I would feel this concrete because that's what it feels like. It feels like concrete in your belly. And then I hated the fact that I couldn't be sexy because, at 4 months, you have that, that you have that little pudge out there. And I wondered, how did I get these fibroids? When I did a bit of research, I found out that it's connected to dye. And homegirl, like bleach her hair. So I haven't bleached my hair for over 2 years now. And I also found out that it was connected to hormones. And so the more meat I ate, the more hormones I was putting in my body
Yeah.
because a chicken now takes a week
Yeah.
from egg to becoming a full-blown chicken and that we're eating. So one of the things Coach Shea recommended for me last year was to eliminate the meat.
Hmm.
And I did that. And so my menstrual cycle would come and I would not know. Like it would just like come. I would
Yeah.
have no symptoms except for the month of January,
Hmm.
the month that we're currently in.
Hmm.
Because Christmas,
You had meat.
I had some meat, right? So I see the connection between the meat and being dead food and the fibroids. But the beauty is they shrunk. And they shrunk because for a 5-month period, I reduced the meat, I reduced the processed food. So I wasn't having rice, I wasn't having pasta, I wasn't having potatoes. And so with the reduction of what I was putting in, the fibroids also shrank. And I think that that's an amazing testimony that as we get older, our bodies are not able to do what they were doing when we were 16. We're slower, we're not as fast as we used to be. And so as we age, we have to pay more attention to our health. So for the more mature woman that's watching our show tonight or today, what advice would you give them? Because I watch your blogging and you really drop some. I mean, she talking about bone broth,
Yes.
right?
Love it.
And she makes it.
Love it.
So, what would be some of the advice that you would give to the more mature woman who wants to get some of that vibrance back?
The first thing would be educate yourself, right? Get with a coach who can help you because I've been trying to go meatless for a while now, so you may have to help me. But outside of that, I believe that if you're not at optimal health, and I'm not a health coach, but some of the things that I do personally is because I know the body doesn't have the same functionality that it does. I make sure that I have a good probiotic. I take digestive enzymes. And then outside of that, there are a few things that I do just to kind of give myself an edge. I take collagen. Of course, we all want to take collagen, and we know all the reasons why.
Right.
So I drink collagen in my coffee, or I find another way to take it in the day, sometimes in a smoothie. I also take things like glutamine to make sure that my gut, because what we're finding, and I'm sure you can attest, is that a lot of people are suffering because their gut has been compromised and they just don't know it. So I shore up my gut as best I can. Outside of that, it's drinking water and making sure that I have the right amount of salt in it, or I put iodine at 1 or 2 drops to take care of my thyroid. It's interesting, the things that you have to do. Like, if I think about the rituals, if I think about the things, it's not one thing, and I'm sure you can attest to that, but
Absolutely.
it's many small habits to health. And so those are a couple of things that I do every day. Fish oil, vitamin B. Those are a couple of things that I don't skimp on, and I do spend money on my supplements.
Awesome.
I like that.
And Coach Shay, coming through some of your programs, I know we did I did the 21-day detox twice.
Yeah.
I've done smoothie challenges with you as well. But can you share with our viewers what a healthy plate looks like? And then, in addition to what a healthy plate looks like, how does one have a healthy smoothie? What does that, if you want to have a meal replacement, would you buy like a meal replacement drink in a store, or would you recommend a homemade?
Well, let's look at this plate first, right? So when we look at the plate today, that's considered good for digestion and well as nutrient pack. Half of your plate is supposed to be leafy greens, half of the plate. That's the first thing. And leafy greens, because now the consumption of leafy greens has gone up, which is a good thing. What it also means is now it's growing faster, and unfortunately they're using a lot of chemicals. And so when it comes to leafy greens particularly, you want to have them organic without the pesticides and the herbicides. So half of the plate, definitely greens, and then the other half can be, if you do any type of flesh protein in the forms of chicken, meat, fish, whatever it is, and you can have a quarter of that. And then the other quarter is an option to have some type of cooked steamed root vegetables or any of the other vegetables. But you definitely want to make half of that plate leafy greens. And in addition to that is there's no water or any liquid served on the side of that plate at all.
So how soon after eating do you recommend drinking, or before?
The thing is this, when it comes to eating and drinking, listen, we grew up with our plate and our juice next to it.
Cup of Kool-Aid.
That's how we all grew up. And so the fact of the matter is, when we're talking about good gut health and digestion, you can either decide to drink any type of liquid, whether it's tea, preferably something room temperature, 2 to 3 minutes before a meal. But ideally, especially if you consume flesh protein, you want to wait a minimum of 45 minutes after you've consumed your meal.
Wow.
Not to interfere with digestion. I like how you say, wow. That's what a healthy plate looks like. And even when I'm coaching my clients, sometimes it is simple things that we just have to kind of tweak out, because food combining is not a new science. It's been around for a long time. But it's just gone to the bottom of the pile now because you have intermittent fasting, you have OMAD, you have keto, all of these different new and trending eating trends has really put down. But when it comes to food combining, it is a science that works, and it's very, very effective, especially when it comes to gut health. If you want to continue to stay on that journey of health, it's important that you take care of your gut. And the foundation to that, just like Raquel said, is the probiotics, and in additionally prebiotics as well. And also digestive enzymes.
Yes, I remember them.
Very well. I don't leave
But
home without
listen,
them.
this half a plate of leafy greens.
Yes.
Let's talk about salad dressings. Because Coach Shay had me eliminate every store-bought salad dressing.
Yes.
Let's talk about salad dressing.
Unfortunately, the majority of the salad dressings out there, they're just laden with sugar. And we live in a society where a large percentage of us have diabetes. So it doesn't lend to our health in any way. Now you do have a small percentage of companies that are making better quality salad dressings, and you would normally see them in the refrigerated section. And they're anywhere between $8 to $15. But listen, I teach classes on how simple it can be made. All it is really good oils. You want to have a citrus in there, herbs always to give it the flavor. flavor, and bingo. I believe in the salts. It's important that you do a combination of the pink, the black salt, the pond salt, all of the richness and
Just
the
not that
nutrients.
white salt.
No, I'm
Mhm.
shaking.
I
We don't talk about table salt at all.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's just not, that's so obsolete. We don't talk about that at all, and it doesn't lend anything to our health. But salad dressings is one of the easiest, simple things that you can make. You always want to start with a good quality oil, like olive oil, coconut oil, safflower oil. You want to have your citrus, lemon, lime, even oranges actually make a good salad dressing.
Yes, it does.
And herbs. I love fresh herbs. You can't go wrong with rosemary, basil, thyme. Listen, I'm going to get mixed up.
You can see the excitement.
And you know
I'd
I
be
could
in
have
good
3
company.
bowls.
Yes, you
Yeah.
would be a good. Listen,
we'd have a good cup of
listen,
coffee.
Coach Raquel. I can talk all of Coach Shea business right now. We were at a retreat together last year, and I watched Coach Shea put it down. There's no judgment.
Yes.
But she ate leafy greens. This lady sat down with a stalk of celery,
Yes.
and she was chewing that like that was donuts.
Yes.
And I
Vitamin
was
K,
amazed at the amount of, what was that green leaf thing you was just pulling, and was that parsley? I mean,
It was
something
wheatgrass, actually.
wheatgrass.
Wheatgrass,
And
yeah.
I'm
Yes, of
sitting there
course.
and I'm like, wow, wow. Who just sits there and stuffs organic
right?
greens
I know.
in them? But I was in awe
Yes.
because she ate consistently, but it was all live food.
Yeah.
And I watched her energy because, sometimes after we eat, we got to take a nap.
Absolutely.
But she was like, 5:30 in the morning, she was up walking around the compound. Like, she just had energy. And I was like, wow, I was super, super amazed. And it's a position I aspire to get to. I am like way over here. But
You're
it's
on
a
your way,
position,
though.
yes, I
You're
am
your
on
way.
my way.
Yeah.
So what other advice, as we close this segment, what other advice would you give to women? And I'd like us to help those women who are age 25 to 60. What advice would you offer them as it relates to becoming healthy?
I think for me, what has made a difference is that understanding that every age brings on a slightly different challenge and just being read up. Like, be interested, be curious. Be curious about how to take care of your body. And I think curiosity has led me to some great practices that I now enjoy.
Yeah.
And I've learned to love taking care of me. And I've learned to love giving advice to friends who don't know because they haven't read and invested the time. But the journey to health should be something you enjoy.
Yes.
You should have fun with it.
Yes. And what I like about that, Coach Raquel, is that I know your story, right? And what I love is that you watch your family line.
Yes.
You watch what's being passed down through the various generations. And you didn't want that to pass to
Absolutely.
you. And so as a result of wanting to make it different, you looked into why your family had certain diseases, what triggered it, and you made it different.
Absolutely.
So that's an intentional action to look at the family background. I mean, when we go to the physicians, they ask us to write down
Oh, yeah.
what your mommy had, what your
Yes.
daddy had. And
Yes.
so that's a clue right there that we have to pay attention to how those before us journeyed
Yes.
with food and with health. And then
Right.
we have to make adjustments to that.
Yeah.
And Coach Shea, what about you? What would be some of your recommendations?
Well, one of the things I like to say is age brings on a lot of new experiences. I always like to reframe because I really think that if we say it, we will become it. And so when we look at the experiences, we, just like Raquel, it's important that we embrace these experiences, and it's not a taboo. We're not
Yes.
ashamed to talk about
Yes.
these experiences. It's important as women and sisters, even brothers, to talk about some of the things that we're experiencing to help others.
Yes.
And particularly when it comes to weight, I know we are a people, women particularly, we only think about weight as the big picture. But I think if we start to look at how we look holistically and not make weight the priority, we will be our best selves. And in addition to that is food is a very, very important part. I'm a foodie. I love to eat.
I love food too.
Listen, don't
Hello.
ever tell me that I can't eat, right? That is the problem. And so when we look at food, we have to see food as a part of our investment to ourselves.
Yes.
We have to see food as a part of being there for our loved ones. We have to see food. You have to see it at a deeper place. Don't just see it as food,
Yes.
because we'll end up to a fast food restaurant. The thing is, I'm at a place now, even if I smell a certain food, I'm ready to just gasp. I'm like, why are they doing this? But I realize it takes a process.
Yes.
It's an intentional act. And I think if we as women now start to look at food, especially when it comes to taking care of our families that we're responsible for,
Yes.
look at it in a holistic journey and see it for what it is, because we are what we eat.
Wow. What a stimulating conversation tonight. Thank you, ladies, so very much. And so, Coach Shay, if there are members of our viewing audience who would like to get in touch with you to hear more about your programs and what you offer as a health and nutrition coach, how can they reach you?
Thank you, DeQuesta. Well, so you can reach me definitely on any of my social media channels at eatemotionallywell.com. My phone numbers are 801-485-802-3300, and of course Shay King on Facebook. And we're always starting smoothie challenges, and we will be joining DeQuesta in a couple of weeks on a 10-day smoothie challenge. And so we're asking you to join us at eatemotionallywell.com.
Awesome. Thank you so very much. And Coach Raquel, what about you? How do our viewing audience connect with you?
Well, I'm on Instagram at lensofkelly.com. I'm on Facebook at Raquel Clarke. And I'm at Coach Raquel20 at gmail.com.
Awesome.
And you can reach me anytime.
Awesome. And I know that you're going to be one of our powerful speakers at our upcoming Power of Her Women's Empowerment Conference. It is the 4th annual conference. So I want you to tell our viewing audience why they need to be in the room.
Well, this is an indication, right? I find that every year we're giving just better. The speakers are getting better. We're getting more intentional and deliberate about what we want to teach and impart to you. And I think we're sharing such great messages about how to take care of yourself, how to excel, how to strive, how to live purposefully. And we have such dynamic people in the room that you just don't want to miss it. Why would you? I got the best advice that I got last week was a reminder that you have to invest in yourself.
Yes.
And it's a small investment to get so much.
Yes.
And so if I had women in the room like this for such a fair price,
Yes.
there's no way I'd miss it. So you got to be there.
Awesome. Well, ladies, thank you so very
Thank
much
you.
for being on our second episode of Empowering Queens TV.
Yes.
We thank you, our viewing audience, for being with us, for just staying along with the journey. And since I used the word journey, I want to remind you that the journey to health is a process. Coach Raquel talked about it being a 10-year process for her. Coach Shay spoke about the fact that this journey started for her when her kids were much younger, 3 or 5, 7 years of age. And so that's many years ago. And so while we journey towards becoming healthy, there are going to be times when we do well, and there are going to be times when we fall. But the key is to get back up, hop back on that bandwagon, and continue the journey. So cheers to a healthy, happy you in 2020. Take care and be blessed.
We'll be right back.